All right, well, welcome back to Exhaust Sports Auto. My name is Kevin, and we are once again here to check out another high mileage Lexus because many of you seem to be appreciating these types of videos. So we are actually once again back here at Cary Imports to look at this 07 Lexus RX 350. This vehicle has just turned over 200,000 miles on it, and it's about 13 years old. So let's see how this bad boy has aged. A couple of things to keep in mind with this Lexus RX 350. So because it is the 07 model year, it received some changes over the 06 model year. So this is actually kind of the model that you want, actually, if you're looking in the used car market for like this generation of RX. It receives a 3.5 liter V6 for this generation, because before it was known as the RX 330 and had like a 3.3 liter V6. So this now makes 47 more horsepower, about 270 horsepower and about 251 pounds-feet of torque. So, you know, it's got some very decent shove for sure. That's not even remotely an issue. You know, it just not effortlessly, you know, you need to kind of put your foot into it, but it'll just, you know, gradually get up to speed. It's like very adequate for straight driving, and that's not even remotely an issue. However, you might be hearing this on the film right now, but I am hearing like this kind of constant kind of like reverbing sound effect coming from the tires, I guess. Yeah, it's got some like Michelin Defender tires on it, but it has been kind of worn out a little bit here. And I am noticing a little bit more of that kind of road noise coming from this thing, almost like as if like a wheel bearing is about to go wrong type of sound. So that's something I've kind of picked up with this car. Definitely a little bit more body lean that I'm noticing with this. Engine is smooth though, no issues there with the power plant. It's using a 5-speed automatic, and I love that. I have no issues with that whatsoever, because that means when you seek a gear, it's much more like, you know, willing to give that gear to you. You know, if you want to jump from like 5th to 2nd gear or 3rd gear or something like that, there's not as many gears to go down. This is not the most reactive gearbox on the planet. However, having the less gears kind of, you know, helps with that. I do like the steering wheel, you know what I'm saying? This nice little, you know, grip and grain thing going on here. Just like a little yellow wood. I really love that. Nice little tasteful touch that Lexus does. Very Japanese, you know, nothing German about this car. You know, I really appreciate the design cues. You're about to see in the interior segment just how solid this this cabin space is. It is just tremendous. But anyway, slightly higher than average tire noise. It's actually, you know, it's pretty loud in here actually. I don't know what needs to be changed to kind of remedy that, but you know, it is what it is. The vehicle is very solid. You know, it's actually pretty quiet in here. You know, I saw like a train coming by. There's like a train near to the dealership, and I just got in this vehicle. I just closed the door, and it was actually like very quiet. So, you know, the vehicle is as a whole pretty well insulated, of course, and they actually made some tweaks and changes for the 07 model year to make this, you know, they use a little bit more sound deadening materials and all that good stuff. But I just went over some you know, railroad bumps there, just soaked it up beautifully. You know, ride quality not even remotely an issue here, and that's actually like the only practical thing I asked for from a Lexus. I just needed to be comfortable. It's not really like jostling me or, you know, throwing me about in this cabin space, so that's really great. Of course, you know, a little bit more lean with this body. You know what I'm saying? Not as much grip, making those tires chirpier a little bit, but I'm noticing a few more little, like, you know, little clicks and things like that coming from the steering wheel. Again, though, for 200k miles, I'm still going to forgive this thing because it's still kind of holding up extremely well for what this thing is. It's still driving smoothly, but I have noticed a few little imperfections with this car. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. I just went over a terrible bump right there, just soaked it up beautifully, no issues whatsoever. It's driving fine. I mean, it's driving really great. I'm really impressed with the way that this thing has aged. I've no real issues driving this every single day. I feel like the biggest issue I do have is like this tire noise. That's kind of the only like main thing I've noticed with this thing. Slight bit of torque steer, but not bad as a whole. You know, it does have a little bit more of a wallowy tendency, and again, that's due to this chassis, of course, being an earlier model SUV. Again, you're not going to be driving this the way I am right now, because that's not what a Lexus driver does, especially an RX owner. I'm really trying to push this chassis to the absolute limits, and that's not what these earlier model Lexuses really liked. This is more so of that plush sensation, and I totally forgive it for that. That's completely fine. Just know that it's not perfect, but it's damn sure better than what I'm going to be getting out of a 200,000 mile like German car, that's for sure. But yeah, as we wrap up this driving segment, let me just tell you guys kind of the highlights of this car. Powertrain, transmission's decent, and the ride quality is plush as hell. No issues there. Only real negatives, you know, there's like this floaty sensation to kind of everything, like the body roll and, you know, things of that nature. And also there's just like this higher than average kind of tire noise that I'm detecting with this thing. Slight little clicks coming from the steering wheel. However, everything is smooth. The power steering is smooth. Like right now, you know, busting little turns, little maneuvers, you know, in the parking lot. That's not really an issue here. It's actually got a little bit of weight to the steering, if I'm going to be honest. So with those things established, let's go ahead and let's take a little look at this interior, shall we? But before we continue on to the interior segment, there's a little note here that I found in the glove box of this vehicle. And obviously, yes, it did pass the state inspection. They can't list a car without it passing the inspection, of course. But on here is a sticky note saying that the battery was replaced on July of 2019. The oil change was done May 29th of 2020, so that was all taken care of. And a new water pump was put in August of 2018. And the radiator, the hoses were done, a pulley, a serpentine belt, and some kind of tension assembly thing, whatever. So all that stuff was completed with this vehicle, and that is fantastic. I really appreciate that. Just thought I would let you know about all that stuff before we get into the interior segment. So, interior of this car, finally, let's get into it. This thing has aged wonderful, actually. Yes, the seats, not so much. However, just this cabin as a whole, damn, dude, like nothing ages quite as well as the interior panels inside of a Lexus, dude. This thing is just rock solid, no issues. Doesn't creak or rattle, if I didn't mention that already. I mean, it's just really well put together. I mean, you really need to put some pressure and really, like, you know, want to rip this thing apart to actually even feel any creaks or anything when you touch up against these panels. It's wonderful, actually. Of course, being an older model vehicle, you know, it's not going to have all the safety equipment. You actually need to learn how to operate a motor vehicle, you know, like we used to like 20 years ago when we didn't have lane keep assist and infotainment screen and all this other crap. Yeah, you drive the car. That's it. You know, it's got easy sight lines. It's a fishbowl in here. Nice big side mirrors. Nice big rear view mirror. No issues here. So just shut up and drive it. You understand? You don't need a backup camera when you have such large side view mirrors and all that good stuff. So just keep that in mind. It's a real car, actually. But yeah, you know, let's just start out with the steering wheel here. No, nice and solid, put together well. You know, nice little bits of leather and wood here. The wood's not all cracked up or anything like that. And I'm pretty sure this is actually like real wood, I would assume, actually. And it's just really well done, nicely finished. You know what I'm saying? The window switches, they are all one-touch up and down windows, and no, it's not double pane glass, but it's a nice thick glass, so I'm not really tripping over it. You do actually have memory seats in this vehicle, so that's pretty good. Nice little function there. And the door panel actually has, like, you know, a nice amount of space. You know, it kind of like pops out this little like door pocket thing, which I really appreciate, so that's nice. Again, more of this wood trimming. You know, the whole thing is just kind of nice, well put together. This leather is definitely kind of, you know, not real. It's kind of like this vinyl pleather thing, whatever the hell you want to call this, but I really don't care because it's nice, plush, and just a fine thing. The doors, they actually have like a nice like heft to it, nice little weight to it, nice quality feel. It actually feels nice and tight, secure in here. You know, it doesn't feel like a, you know, tin can in here, so I really appreciate that. These seats, extremely plush. It's not even remotely an issue. However, you know, it's, you know, with this type of mileage, you expect, you know, some wear and tear on it. And of course, you know, slightly wrinkled. The color is, you know, slightly gone here a little bit. Not too much like, you know, cracking or anything like that. Some discoloration, of course, but that's about it. As a whole, I can't really complain with this type of mileage. It's been baking out of the sun. I mean, it's just, there's no real issues with this car, so I really appreciate that. You have nice climate control. Now, yes, the AC, it does work. However, unlike the 2013 GS I just got out of with about 250,000 miles, the AC, it took some time for the AC to come on, you know, the cool air to come on a little bit. So that's just one of the things I noticed. But hey, it is working. It's blowing nice cool air now, so I guess no issues there. It's got a nice little sound system thing going on. You know, it's not Mark Levinson or anything like that. However, it does sound fine for what it is. For this age, you have a nice little CD player, all that stuff. I don't see any aux connection things here. You know, this rather obscure, like kind of very high-tech center glove box thing here. center armrest. And it's not even a center arm, it's just some storage in the center, and you just press open and close. It's like the most advanced thing I've ever seen for a, you know, storage thing, and that's just interesting. You don't have the armrest, however, you kind of have like these little things on the seat, similar to what you would see in like a, what do you call it, a minivan. So you do have that. That works, I guess. This whole kind of center tunnel area, basically, this is just so similar to the Lincoln Corsair I just drove with this kind of floating panel thing. Luckily, it is so solid. It's not shaking, it's not rattling, it doesn't feel like it's about to fall off, so that's great. And you have some storage underneath there. I don't know what you're going to put there, maybe like a purse or something. So you have that going on. Traditional, of course, the gear lever. I love the wood that they put on the gear lever. It feels great. I love that. I love using that thing. One stupid thing that they did was they're trying to hide the mirror controls here, which kind of pissed me off. I was like looking everywhere for the mirror controls to set the mirrors. They do work a little like delayed. They do work, but not super well. Like the left one works decently. However, the one on the right, when I tried to adjust the mirror, it's not really like doing anything. It is now. I'm sorry. It is now. So that's good. Good, it saved itself for the video. That's good. But before it was kind of like, you know, hesitating to move. Anyway, not a big deal. You have some automatic headlights, which is great to see in an 07 car. Automatic windshield wipers, great stuff, great practical things I like to see. All the buttons and stuff, the switches, they have a nice quality feel to it. Nothing feels like it's about to fall off again. No push button start, of course, you know, a traditional key, I had to put it in there. And all the buttons are still on the key, which I kind of like that. Anyway, the gauge cluster, nice, clean, simple, easy to read, no issues. There's no stupid screens in there. There's nothing to distract you. There's no infotainment, no crap in here. So nothing really to go wrong either. This little cup holder thing, it makes a few little noises, but everything still works. You know what I'm saying? It opens and closes just fine. The glove box, there's a decent amount of space in there. You have a nice little sunroof here. Headlining material is nice and soft. It's like the type of material that kind of absorbs like noise and stuff inside of a cabin, so that's pretty good. Rear seats, you know, it's a 2-row vehicle, and I do fit just fine in the second row. I'm 5'11", you know, getting in and out of this thing very easy. That's not remotely an issue. It's not like a plethora of space back there. However, it's not bad. You know, you can get used to it. The middle seat is kind of useless because of the this little center tunnel here kind of protrudes through a little bit more than it should, but you do have nice little HVAC vents for the rear passengers as well, so that's nice. Again, slight little discoloration from the seats. However, those seats are plush as hell, even more comfy than it is up here. It's so soft and supple. That's what I really love. So I don't really care if it's a real leather or not. And the trunk is also a great size. However, I will say, like the little clip that latches on, like, you know, you kind of lift up the carpet, there's a little bit more storage space. The storage does exist. However, the little clip kind of broke off a little bit. I think it's an easy fix. However, you know, I just want to mention it just stays open all the time. But anyway, plenty of space in the trunk. You can fold down the seats, all that good stuff. It's great. It's fantastic. I really appreciate it. So yeah, as a whole, great car, aged really well. It's not perfect. However, you know, how can you expect a car with 200,000 miles to be perfect? Well, the 2013 one was really good. That GS 350, that thing was solid as hell. This is also very solid. It's a Lexus product. It's great. It's aged really well. Glad I was able to show you some of the imperfections of this particular one, but I think for the price, it kind of reflects it. It's not really a big deal. It's like $6 grand some change, something like that. So for what this is, I don't have too many issues with it. You know, you're just looking for a cheap daily driver, you know, like the vehicle doesn't feel like it's about to fall apart or anything like that. It's one of the more solid vehicles you can get with this type of mileage and this type of price point. So hopefully you can appreciate that. If there's any owners out there, please let me know your thoughts and your opinions on how it's held up for you. If you're in the market for one, if you tried the car out, let me know. Leave all that stuff in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. The comment section is supposed to be like a forum page, essentially, for you guys to read, to go through, to get some ownership perspectives, other than my own. So that's the main reason why I ask you guys to comment. And I just want to give a quick shout out actually to a Patreon member. You just started donating to me. Gary, I really do appreciate you, bro. And of course, Stefan, he's been a long time contributor. Really appreciate you. Just want to give you a quick shout out, of course. I want to mention you guys. And yeah, I just want to give out another shout out to Cary Imports for letting me drive this vehicle and all the other cars here. Massive shout out to them. Please do check out their website. If you do plan on purchasing a vehicle here, consider asking them about their warranty programs that they have going on with Penn Warranty. Solid warranty, very affordable, something I would definitely suggest you purchasing or looking into if you're going to buy a car from this dealership. That's the main reason why I come here. So with that, thank you again for watching. Take care and goodbye.